Money Mobbing Mondays. Thanks you for watching. Turn install. Here we go. Go ahead and remove that bolt. Remove it. Super easy. As you see right there, that bolt, remove that one. That one, remove it. Super easy. One more bolt, remove it. Literally 6 bolts, and 3 of those things come off. The side covers, the rear tail, all of it. You just slide out the clips. It's pretty simple. When you remove the bolt, you'll see how weak it becomes. That's 12 mils. Those are 10 mils. You gotta remove them. Comes off. Like I said, as soon as you take those other 4 bolts, they all come off. As soon as they come off, you hold it in your hand and literally unclip the electronics and you pull it off the bike. There's 4 10 mils right there. I'm pointing to them. Go ahead and pull those off. As soon as you pull those off, that whole rear mud guard flap thing detaches where your license plate is. Of course, I've customized the whole thing, so it might be a little different from yours. Completely comes off at that point. As soon as it's removed, you have access to everything. The bulbs in there, you can pull it, or you can remove those 3 Phillips head screwdrivers and those 3 bolts come off. I want to put an LED inside my tail light housing just in case if my bulb ever turns off. I will still have a light somewhat emitting out of that tail light. As you can see, my 2 LED SMD chips are installed. Those are super low draw. They're red. You'll see them on later, but pretty much those are installed via wires that I hooked up to my tail light assembly, but I believe they're a license plate tail light assembly, so they illuminate the license plate. Anyway, going into this, what you see, there's the wiring. I hooked everything up, put all the nice electrical tape. There's a LED chip inside. There's 2 of them in there. They're both around 3 watts per draw, so it's about 6 watts in total. They both run off 12 volts. As you can see, I wired it into the system, so literally they all draw off the same tail light wiring. They're super low draw, so there's gonna be no problems. You see the lights that I have there are going to be emitting through those holes that I drilled. Those holes that I drilled, as you get the lights on, and so it's going to be a license plate light. Technically, that's what I'm replacing. The 2 that you see there are red, so they're emitting red LEDs, but the one inside the tail light is white. So all I got to do is just drill more holes if I want more light to hit my tail light. As you see, this is the turn signals that I'm upgrading to. Super low draw, about 3 to 5 watts each one. I haven't done the estimation, but I know that those chips are super cheap because I bought them from China, so they can't be high draw anyway. I'm gonna have a hyper flash because they are low draw, so they're gonna barely draw enough resistance to make a steady flash, so my flasher will be somewhat quick. Those are the original housing I ripped the stock wiring out of, and I'll be using the stock wiring so I can clip all of the existing new wiring, as you see right here I'm holding, to the stock wiring, so it's easy plug and play. It's super easy. I'm going to show you how to do it a little bit later, but that's the end game. I already did one side. I will do the other side later, but that's what it looks like. Pretty much super simple, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's not hard. I will show you how to do everything right now, but that's what it's going to look like at the end of the day. Stock wiring, hook it up like it never, that's how it came to factory, you know what I'm saying? So pretty much the main thing that you get here is you got your 2 wires. The China grade light that I got, the really thin gauge wire comes with compared to the Honda factory, which is thicker gauge, but they also know better because the LED light that comes in it is LED and it's super low draw compared to the original wiring, which is a lot thicker because it's higher draw since it's incandescent bulb. But you fan them out, and as soon as you fan them out, you put them together. You want as many strains to hit each other as possible, so it's nice and strong in connection, and you just twist. This is not a soldering technique. I don't do soldering at all because there's no point. Realistic, if you do it correctly, you don't need to solder. Soldering is just a fancy way of gluing things together, and I don't got time for that, and I just don't have an extension cord to hook up, so I don't solder anything with this bike. It's a dirt bike, you know. If you put enough electrical tape, which I do, that is also the positive side, so I put red tape. Always stretch your tape, by the way, helps stick on better, but I do that because it's just easier to identify, and also there's no point in soldering when it's a dirt bike. It's probably going to be dropped and broken, so I don't invest so much time as long as it works progressively well, and then I'll go ahead and keep it. I'll probably get a lot of haters for this, but it's all good. This is my own method. Realistically, I've done this to my cars, done to my truck. Nothing's ever gone wrong if you connect it correctly and you put the right amount of electrical tape so moisture won't get in the system and corrode and provide extra resistance in the wiring. So just keep that in mind when you do something like this. Your electrical tape will be highly important, so I always recommend to stretch it, and the reason why I stretch it is so you can expand the molecules of the electrical tape and allow it to stick better to the wiring. I do blue on my negative side. That's just me. You know, red and blue, blood and crips, it's all the same. At the end of the day, it's just type, so don't really get your panties in a twist. But as you see here, it's super easy. You fan it out like I said, you connect them, you twist them, you put them together, you give them a little tug to make sure that there's enough strength to hold the actual wires together, they just don't fall apart. And then when there's enough resistance in there, then you go ahead and cover it with electrical tape. Stretch it when you pull it. It is a little tedious, but the more labor and the more love you put into this technique, the less moisture, and the wiring will look like it came from the factory, because that's what they do. They stretch the electrical tape when they install it over the factory harness, and I know this because I completely ripped it apart. So it's easy to do it when you completely rip it apart, because you see how Honda does it. So thank you for all the humans that took their time and wired my bike correctly. So I appreciate it, and I'll go ahead and try to keep it. There is a little end on it. Just remember to completely stretch it. It pisses me off to see the little, little ends, but it is what it is. You just plug and play like I did right there. Boom, plug and play, and eventually I will turn the key on. You will see it all work. I tested everything to make sure they work. Moving on to the Moose rear tail rack, you just take off your bolts like we're at. Now we're just reinstalling everything. It's super easy. Put the rack there, you install it from the factory. It comes with 2 bolts, screws on to the base plate. Those 2 washers that I'm holding, they're different sizes. The small washer is going to be closer to the tail light. The big washer is going to be closer to the seat. Remember to do this correctly, or you will get the rack wrong and you'll probably bend it. With that said, install the back ones first and make sure it does that pivot motion. Do it by hand first. Don't use any tools on it because you'll probably strip it. These high grade bolts are good, but with anything, you're going to be taking this off and putting it on frequently, so you just want to start easy peasy, just nice and lemon squeezy, and just like you're doing right now, you just wanted to make it a pivot, and when it makes a pivot on that, then it's good. I recommend pushing it down. Don't push the washer on first. Push it down in its position and then get the washer in. It just be a little easier on you. Less stress does make it easier to install this. I move it, as you see, up and down just to give the play enough room for the screw to go through. So if you don't give it enough room, then it kind of gets wedged in and it won't screw or get cocked. So when you kind of wiggle it while you're screwing it in, it just gives it enough play inside the, I would say, inside the sleeve for the screw to go through. As soon as you know they're all in, go ahead and get your electric Makita and put it all together. That's pretty much it. As you see, that's just to get the Moose rack on. The rack holds about 20 pounds. Just put my extra weight on it, extra luggage, extra storage, extra whatever I have, extra laptop equipment anytime I do filming. I put it on my rack and then just go ahead and install it, and boom, there it is. Super easy. Just install it on the rack, put some bungee cords. I'm thinking about putting a wooden sheet on there so I can make it even bigger, but this is what it comes out to when you're all said and done. As you see, I have a wasp cam, so that's my new addition to it on the front, and that's pretty much what I'm filming on now, is my new wasp cam with my new rack on the back. I would like to thank you at this time for taking the time out and watching my video. I enjoy just showing you different stuff. Of course, it's not the most in-detailed video of all, but it's super easy. All you got to do is take the original stock wiring harness and just wire it together, and then put the light where you want it to be, wire through, and that's it. Everything's 12 volts, super simple. The rack's super simple. With motorcycles, everything's kind of like 5 to 6 bolts away from getting completely disassembled. There's not that much interior bolts and stuff to take off, so I'm showing you my oil level right now. It's a little high, but pretty much this is what it is. I love my motorcycle for what it is, so enjoy.